Now we will talk about CAG. CAG. What is the full form of CAG? CAG stands for Comptroller, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now, what is the meaning of Comptroller? What is the meaning of Auditor? CAG. Comptroller basically means a high ranking official who audits government accounts, ensuring that public money is spent wisely and legally. It is not being misused by the politicians or anyone. So this is the function of a CAG, and CAG is a very important officer. Even the father of the Indian Constitution, B.R. Ambedkar, described him as the most important officer. He described him, and we know that the part 5 of the Indian Constitution, there are 25 parts. Out of those 25 parts, the part 5 talks about, part 5 has 5 chapters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th chapter talks about CAG. And this CAG, 148 to 151, these are the articles which talks about the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Now you must be thinking that I have not told you the meaning of auditor. Auditor basically means anyone who examine, who check something. For example, the school take examination to check your abilities. Similarly, the auditor examine or check that the funds and the public money is being misused or being used wisely. So this is the function of the CAG. Let's proceed to the very first article, which is article 148. Article 148. Article 148 talks about appointment and term of CAG. Let me give you a brief overview first. Article 48 is there, Article 49, 149 is there, 148 is there, 150 is there, and 151 is there. 141 has 5 clauses. 148 1, 148 clause 2, 148 clause 3, clause 4, clause 5. It has 5 clauses. Article 149 does not have any clause. Article 49 is there. Similarly, Article 50 does not have any clause. But Article 151 has 2 clauses. Article 151 clause 1, Article 151 clause 2. Okay. So I told you that the very first article, which is Article 141, it talks about what? It talks about the appointment and term of CAG. Okay. Now appointment. He is appointed by the President of the nation. President. He is appointed for a term of 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. Suppose if a person becomes the Comptroller and Auditor General of India at the age of 63, so he will not be able to complete his term of 6 years. He will be retired at the age of 65. So whichever is earlier, either 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. So this is the article 141 clause 1, which talks about the appointment. As I have told you, that is appointed by the Rashtrapati, President. Okay. Then 142 I told you, 148 clause 2. 148 clause 2. It talks about oath. Once he is appointed by the president of the nation, then he will take oath. You don't need a trick to learn it. You can learn it easily, because at first he will be appointed by the president, that this person is going to be the CAG of the country. At first clause 1 talks about the appointment. He will be appointed at the president. He will be appointed by the president, and then he will take the oath. Who will administer his oath? The president of the nation. His oath will be administered by the president of the nation. Then he will get some salary. 148 clause 3. He will get some salary. So 148 clause 3 talks about what? It talks about the conditions of office. Conditions of office. Conditions of service. So once he is taken the oath, he will get some salary. And who will give the salary? You will not give him the salary. I will not give him the salary. His salary will be given from the consolidated fund of India. So indirectly, we the people of India, we give the taxes, and from the taxes, the consolidated fund of India, from consolidated fund of India, he get the salary. Understood my point or not? Now remember one thing, that once he is appointed at the CAG, once he is appointed at the Controller and Auditor General of India, his salary cannot be reduced. Okay. Now I told you that 148 clause 1 talks about appointment. 148 clause 2 talks about oath. 148 clause 3 talks about the salary. 148 clause 4 talks about what? It talks about removal. He will also be removed. He can also be removed if he is not capable on grounds of incapacity. If he is not capable, his unsound mind or anything like that, if he has behaved in a way which is not appropriate, if he has misbehaved with someone, then also he can be removed. But the CAG can only be removed. The CAG can only be removed like a SC judge, Supreme Court judge. By special majority is needed. Special majority is needed. Without a special majority, you cannot remove the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Then after that, at last what we do? We retire. So 148 clause 5 what talks about what? It talks about post-retirement restrictions. What are the restrictions? The restrictions are that after leaving office, CAG cannot hold any office of the government of India. Why this kind of restriction is there? A question must be coming in your mind, that why this kind of restriction? This restriction is because it prevents influence by the government. How? When the CAG will be in his office, a politician can come and tell him that I want to misuse the money of the consolidated fund of India. Will you allow me? And after the retirement, I will give you this post. So it can be misused. The public purse is the guardian of the public purse, and it can be misused. So this is the reason why there are post-retirement restrictions. Understood my point or not? Now let's move on to the next article. I have told you all the clauses of article 148. Now 149 talks about what? 148 talks about the appointment and term of CAG. 149 talks about what? It will talk about the duties and powers of CAG. Now what are the duties? The duty is to audit the union government account and the state government account, so that misuse can be prevented. How much money is to be spent, whether it is correct or not, it will be the duty of the CAG to audit all these things. And who prescribes the CAG's function? The functions of the CAG is prescribed by the president, and his main role, the main role of CAG is to audit the government's account, the union government account, the state government account. This is the function. Now 149 has been done. Now let's move on to 150. 150 talks about what? Forms of account. Forms of account. CAG helps decide how government accounts should be kept and recorded. So 150 talk about forms of account. 151 talks about audit reports. I had told you the meaning of audit at the beginning of this video, and CAG submit reports to the president. Forms of account either can be a union government account or can be a state government account. So forms of account 150, 151 audit reports. Report, he will report to the president. For the union account, for the union government account, he will report to the president of the nation, and for the state government account, he will report to the governor. And the president lays the report before both houses of the parliament. Once he submit his report to the president for the union government's account, then the president will lay the report before both houses of the parliament, the upper house and the lower house. And for the state government, governor will lay between he submits his audit reports to the governor of the state, and the governor lays it before the state legislature, just like the president who lays it before the both houses of the parliament. Now I will tell you a trick to learn it. It's other. It means deference. Deference means what? Polite behavior. So 148 I had told you, it talks about appointment. 149 talks about duties of CAG. 150 talks about what? It talks about accounts. 151 talks about what? 151 talks about reports. So ADAR, other. ADAR. And this 151 has two clauses I had told you before. 151 clause 1, 151 clause 2. 151 clause 1 talks about the union government's account, the report submitted by the CAG to the president for the union government account. And 151 clause 2 talks about the report which is submitted to the president, which is submitted to the governor. For 151 clause 1, he submits, CAG report submit is to the president, and 151 clause 2, report is submitted to the governor, and governor lays it before the state legislature, and president lays it before the both houses of the parliament.